Hello, welcome. My name is Tracy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Australia. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's CASEing the Catalogue day and I have a project straight out of the Occasions Catalogue. It's on page 18. It's using the piece of cake bundle, which is this one here. And the card that we're doing is this wedding card, which is for Mr. and Mrs. I'm going to bring that card in just to quickly show you what it looks like up front. The colours are Mint Macaron, Grapefruit Grove, and I think these colours really go nicely together for this wedding card. So let's get over to the craft table and we'll get started. One thing I did forget to mention, the colours are actually Mint Macaron, Grapefruit Grove and Soft Seafoam. There's a little bit of soft seafoam in there, which is really pretty. So like I said, we're using the piece of cake stamp set and the bundle with the punch. We've also got the Duet punch. We're embossing with the subtle embossing folder. We're using some of those gorgeous framelits from the Wonderful Romance suite. And our colours are Grey Granite, Grapefruit Grove, Soft Seafoam and Mint Macaron. And we're using the Mint Macaron Nature's Twine as well, just for that little background. I have my kit here and all the measurements and supplies can be found over my blog, and that's in the description of this video. There's also a link to my online store. If you live in Australia and would like to purchase any Stampin' Up supplies, I would love to be your demonstrator. If you pop the hostess code in for this month, I'll send you out a free gift as well. So we have soft seafoam card base, and that's half an A4 that's just been scored in half, and I'm just going to burnish the edge. The next piece we have is the matting, which is in the shimmery white card. We have a piece of whisper white card for our pieces that we are stamping and punching, piece of grey granite, petal pink, a bit more Mint Macaron and some soft seafoam. So let's start by stamping our background with all our little cakes. So we're just using the shimmery white and we've got the Mint Macaron ink base. So I'm going to try and stamp the same stamps in the same position. So we're starting off with that florally one, moving into this natural cake. You could also use your Stamparatus to organise your cakes into, if you're doing a class with this one, probably be easier with the Stamparatus for your customers. I'm going to do this one over here. So you can do them in any random pattern if you would prefer. And last one, just in the middle there. And then we're going to put these little toppers on, and there's two toppers in that set. There's a heart and also a little flower set. So let's go and pop them on the top of our cakes. And our little hearts. It's a really sweet set, this one. That could be for all sorts of occasions, not just weddings or birthdays. So we're finished with that one. I'm going to bring in the soft seafoam ink. Just going to pop some in my lid, squeezing that top of the pad. Okay. I'm going to use my aqua brush and I'm just going to paint a bit of that soft sea foam in the background. It's a little bit dark. Let's try and water that down a little. Careful not to get the edges. So we're just making it a nice soft background. Now what I like about this background is when you're putting it on and it's really light, you can't really see it all that well, but it's just a nice subtle background that takes the stark whiteness out. So I'm going to pop that to the side to let that dry. Then I'm going to bring the big shot in and I just want to do all our little die cutting pieces. So with the soft sea foam, I'm going to place them all down in it as best as I can. Hopefully they'll go through well. And with the set we need this one here, a large leaf. Oh. And this sprig here. So we're going to need 2 of those in the petal pink. We need the large leaf, we need 2 of those in the soft sea foam, so let's put one down there. And this one here, we're going to need in the mint macaron. This one we're actually just going to cut out with the tag tailored punch. So let's pop the lid on this one and we'll run this one through. So we have one of these. Let's place that back in again because we need 2. We also need 2 of these ones in the mint macaron. This come out pretty easy. There we go. Place that one down again. We need 2 of these ones as well. Okay. So that's the die cutting. We also need to emboss. So I'm going to set the embossing plate up. I'm going to take out that grey granite cardstock and just punch out a tag tailor punch. And this one we're going to set through the subtle embossing folder. This is a thick one, so we only need the one plate. Run that one through. Okay, so when that comes out, it has some gorgeous detail on it, doesn't it? You can get rid of all this and we'll start some stamping. So with our piece of Whisper White, we need to stamp in the Grapefruit Grove, the cake stand, our cake, and the Mr. and Mrs. sentiment. Now we've already used this cake before, so we're going to just make sure that that's clean before we use it again. So using the Grapefruit Grove, going to ink up going up, and I'm just going to place that inside the punch. And you can do two things. You can line up the cake stand with our punch piece. So let's try and do that. If it doesn't work, I can just re-stamp and punch again. And it probably won't work because I'm in a funny angle, trying to stay out of the camera. Yeah, not quite, so let's bring in this again. There we go. If you have the Stamparatus, you could set this up as well. So you're punching at the same time. Okay, so we have those two pieces. And I probably should have done that just to show you, but anyway. Finished with the Grapefruit Grove, but we're going to bring the grey granite in. And I'm just going to stamp that Mr. and Mrs. We have the, I don't know, is it the Duet punch? The Duet punch? I'm not sure. I've heard it said, pronounced quite a few different ways. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the bottom punch there, getting that centered. And we have that sentiment. This piece is not quite dry, so I'm going to hit it with the heat tool and I'll be back in a second. So that piece is nice and dry. We're right to put our card together. So I'm just going to attach that straight down, and I'm actually going to use some tear and tape because we've added water to the shimmery white. It does buckle a little bit, so you like to use a good strong adhesive that's going to keep it from buckling up on your card front. I'm even going to put just a little bit in the middle. There we go. This would make a really great first birthday card too, I think. Love this soft sea foam. Okay, so we're just going to center that down onto the card base. Now bringing in all our elements, what I did find was I just started attaching things together. So I'm going to place my cake down first. I'm going to use my Tombow Mono glue. Just place a little bit of glue the bottom of that cake. And we're just going to hide it behind that punch. The cake stand's going to be put underneath, so I might stick it on here instead. There we go. Oop. It's all sticking to my fingers now that I've got glue everywhere. Okay. Now I want to make sure that all my greenery is in nice position. So I'm going to attach a little bit of glue to this leaf. And I can attach to my soft seafoam leaf. And my petal pink piece can come in. I'm going to place that somewhere like that, I think. Yeah, so that looks good like that. I'm going to turn it over, and I find, because there's so many little pieces, it's really hard with the mono glue for me. I find using the tear and tape attaches it down really well. It's not going to be seen. And from this way as well. And that's in the right position. Beautiful. Okay, so now let's look at the bottom one. And going to place it in the same position as I've got there. Okay, happy with that. Bring some more tear and tape in. Now you can play around with it, change it around as you like. You want them sticking out from other areas. If you're more happier to use the Tombow glue to stick each flower down individually on top, that's fine too. And we're going to bring that twine in. I believe I had about 8 inches, but we're going to pull this apart, so just going to rip pieces apart. It's really nice and thin here, and it comes apart really well too. So I'm going to actually place, so there's about half each in each pile, so I have 2 piles. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create some loops. tape down some of those ends. Going to also release that backing tape. So let's just take those backing of the tear and tape off. And there'll be enough adhesive there to stick that all down. Beautiful. And they all stay down really nicely. So with our Mr. and Mrs., I'm going to pop that up with some dimensional. So for this card, I actually put sequins down as the embellishment. I think for this one I might just use our rhinestones. I'll bring a couple of those larger rhinestones in. And one down the bottom here. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed today's wedding card. Let me know what you prefer, the sequins or the rhinestones. Personally, I think the rhinestones look a little bit nicer. Okay, until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.